my report, that's where we left off.
Kirsten, can I ask you a question about the Next Amp phone conference and how that went? How
Do you
did that
wanna talk?
go?
It was really just informative, and I think Joe may have more, do you have something to say about that? It was an informative session. We sort of left it where we had left it in the board meeting, that we were gonna try to go gather some information. I have contacted the town attorney. She was out of town for a week or so I haven't.
Florida.
Yeah, the town of Florida attorney, because there are some pitfalls and things to look out for, and I'm gonna try to contact her again. And I don't know where you got as far as pricing. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
go
well,
ahead, I'm
we
sorry.
did, Sean was asking me
Yeah,
earlier
I
about a
did.
fee schedule of how to set that up, and we were sent that,
Town
right?
of Florida
From-
sent everything to the Duns.
Yeah,
that
Town
it's,
of
day,
Florida
right?
clerk.
I
Yeah.
have that. Well,
Because
you
seems
have
how
that
they
as
just
well.
went through
Yeah,
and they got
for
all
the
these
special
monster
use
solar
permit.
arrays and
Right.
figured it was a good carbon copy to start
Yeah.
from.
Sure.
We go right to the planning board's report.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's pretty much gonna be the basis of it. Yeah, with our discussion with the Duns that we had with Next Amp, and there's a lot of things that we gotta consider with this project. I mean, as I said, well, to start, this is a type 1 seeker to begin with. So with that being said, there's a whole bit of different municipalities and different entities that we gotta go through, send them out applications, county, you guys as well, local fire departments,
School.
yep, the school being the other one, that they have to receive an application, you know, the project itself. And with it being a type 1 seeker, type 1 application, anybody can declare themselves as declare themselves lead agency on top of us as well. So like the town can declare themselves lead agency. I talked to Kenneth Rose at the county, you know, informed him about it. He said, well, we're not gonna declare ourselves lead agency, but he said, yes, there's a 30-day period, fill out an application. If another entity wants to be involved and declare themselves lead agency as well. And the county would also have to be referred to with this site, once the site plan application is complete, would have to be referred to that. Different other things we discussed, decommissioning and pilot, all those are negotiable, all those. I mean, they'll set themselves, but they're set, like, this is what we're putting aside for decommissioning, and this is what we're putting aside for our pilot, but from their mouth, I said, are these all negotiable? And they said yes. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. You know, get what we can out of it for the town. We've got,
In the meantime, where are we going with the fee schedule? The board has to pass something there before that gets too far along, right?
yes, well, we do have time, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said we do have time.
Is that something we can expect to have the Duns come to us with at next month's
We can
meeting?
propose something, or you can, sure.
We got the one pretty much set fee schedule from the town of Florida. I don't know if there's anything else out there. If we want to wait till next month, I want to discuss with my planning board to see if there's anything else that someone else has seen, thought of, and then if not, we'll refer to for the next town board meeting if that works. I mean, we do have time.
I would defer to the planning board regarding any fee schedules on this.
Well, the one thing that might be worthwhile for the board to consider is that it depends on how much the board wants to encourage these types of projects coming into the town. Because your fee schedule can incentivize or non-incentivize people to come in. So I think the town of Florida, their special use permit was like $250 for a certain size.
$250 to start. Well, this one would be $250 to start, and then for every 50,000 megawatts, it's an additional $250.
And so Joe and I discussed, if you want to decentivize, you raise that fee. You know, you make it $500. So it really depends on what your preference is for encouraging that type of project to come into the town. And there obviously are pros and cons.
Do you
How
have
about
a
the declaration of
comprehensive?
lead agency? Does that make a difference in the fee filings?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
No.
And there's still a building permit fee that we haven't established at this point too, for
I
that.
believe not, no. Not that I'm aware.
No, well, we have on our end, we have a building we put in $1 per thousand on solar. If you look at our building permit schedule, there is $1 per thousand cost of the construction. It's marked residential and, I'm sure
I don't think that was for commercial though, was it? That was just for residential?
that's for residential, but we can adapt that for this project, or we can, Cliff's gotta go out there 13 or 14 times during this project, and we have to, the building permit is separate from the special use, but there will be a building permit fee to do this, and we just need to make sure it compensates him for all the work, because, that's a lot of.
Let's just say this, these companies have an awful lot of money to drop. They like Montgomery County, because Montgomery County has a lot of really poor farmers that are jumping at the chance to get a $10,000 contract for 50 of their acres, which is pittance
That
for
was
what they're
going on
getting.
with the wind turbines too,
Right,
until
so-
they
so
figured
you
out
need
they
to-
got a pile of junk in 20 years.
Yeah, so that's why we're being a little more cautious. Let's
Right.
make sure we have the decommissioning things, and the town has to decide. It's not up to me or you. Do you want them to come in or do you not want them to come in? Because you can structure things accordingly, and you can also educate your townspeople whether, we get a lot of these contracts from private citizens coming into, they're asking us to review them, and we're like, no way, don't accept it for $3,000. Up the ante a little bit. Let's get them to pay you if they want your land. So we believe that this is a resource. If you want it, make sure you're getting what you can out of it. The town doesn't have to give the stuff away. And it's not necessarily discouraging them either, because these
In
people
my
are
opinion,
contracting with
we
private
have to know
people.
what's going on around us before we can know whether we're competitive or not. And then we decide whether we want to be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
Kind of
question.
one step at a time.
I think I heard at the last planning board meeting though, when the lady was here with the solar project, that they lose their egg assessment, the farmers do. And then they're gonna be paid money to be leasing this property, which has to be claimed on their income taxes. Now it's a different kind of income, right?
It can hurt.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna
there
hurt.
There are
There are
ways to keep
downsides.
the ag
Yeah.
exemption. If
Yes.
you have sheep grazing, you can keep an ag, but people don't know all the ins and outs, and most of these farmers are not educating themselves. They're just signing at the bottom
And
line,
this
and
is
it's
the
really
first I
kind of
heard
sad.
this, that, they're getting,
Looking at dollars.
it may be costing them more money, because now they're getting more money.
Yeah, they don't
and
understand they just lost their ag exemption,
Yeah.
which is huge.
So they're gonna be reassessed a different, tax.
So we
Well,
did discover that when we looked at some of the contracts, they're like, everything's negotiable with them. So I think it's, and I'm not trying to paint them in a bad light. They were very nice and easy to work with, very, forthcoming with their information, but
So this lease is gonna go on for anywhere from 30 to 35 years too, so, you're talking,
yeah, you have to decide what you want to see. If you want to see solar panels or you want to see hay fields, you decide as a town.
So you two are going to work together and we're going to have something at the next monthly meeting?
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Schedule, I'm gonna
Yes.
leave it. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's
leave it
fine.
to you and we'll talk after this about it.
Yeah, because this is the first time I'm going to discuss it with my planning board as far as the fee schedule. I mean, a good example as far as the fee schedule is concerned, if our planning board is fine with it, if no one has any other suggestions, then I will refer it to the next town board meeting.
Okay. Like to entertain a motion to accept his report.
Make-
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to accept those
You got
reports.
it.
Second.
His motion.
Historical
Second.
things
Any
need
further
some
discussion for
protection,
Joe?
and the forests need
Okay,
some
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Joe?
Okay.
That's it.
And then we have to go back
And dog.
to the dog control officer. I looked at her report.
I make a motion to accept your dog control report.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Assessor.
I make a motion, we accept the assessor's report as written.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Okay, code enforcement officer.
Make a motion, we accept the code enforcement's report as written.
Motion by, any second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Sean, second. Discussion? He's busy, there's building going on. So there's assessed values to go up. Okay, all those in favor of accepting it, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Town clerk?
All right. I got some stuff tonight. I was a little bit upset when I read the paper and I was accused of not putting the legal notice in the paper. I emailed July 5th, I emailed the Amsterdam paper, the notice for the special meeting. I was told it was not in the paper. I don't get the Amsterdam paper. I didn't know it wasn't published. I called them the following Monday. They said they never received it. And she said, if we received it, we would have emailed you back with the confirmation and the cost of it. And I said, I never got a confirmation. She said, did you check your spam? Now, she said she didn't get it, but then asked me if I checked my spam. So that kind of like, they got it and they didn't put it in or whatever, I don't know. I also had another notice to send into the paper. I sent that in on Tuesday via fax. I get a phone call from the Amsterdam Recorder saying they will no longer accept any legal notices by fax. It has to be done by email. I emailed it to them Tuesday. Never got a confirmation back on that. Wednesday, I called them. They claimed they never got that email. I'm like, I have proof that my emails were sent. If you want to look at my computer, anybody want to look at it? It was sent the 5th, the one that wasn't in the paper. And they said that they didn't get one on the following Tuesday. So I spoke with Bill, and Bill said I should write them a note, send them an email, and ask them to answer my email. I did. 11 minutes later, I get an email back saying they received the second email for the planning board public hearing. Now, the day
These were all
before.
sent to the same email address.
Right, and she told me she was gonna send me an email to make sure I had the right email address, which they didn't do. And then she emails me back 11 minutes later and said, they got the email and it's $5.40. Now, it took 2 days for them to get back to me and me telling them I needed an email in response. I am not very happy. It makes me look bad. There was the notice for the meeting for the 12th was put out on that board June 5th. When I printed it out after I sent the email, I printed it out, put it out on there. And just like Kirsten said, it says here in the book, it says, any special meeting be posted conspicuously at least one public location, example, the town clerk's bulletin board, which it was, and to be given to the news media at least 72 hours prior to any meeting which is scheduled at least a week in advance, which the meeting was scheduled a week in advance. And it says if it was less than a week in advance, then as soon as possible, just like you said. Okay, so I was called at home on Tuesday by a resident, wanted to know what was on the agenda. I told him what was on the agenda and he thanked me and hung up. Now, this person knew what was on the agenda. So they all knew that there was going to be a meeting. And I am very upset with the Amsterdam Recorder, and I would just as soon do business with the Johnstown paper, Johnstown Gloversville paper, the Leader Herald. But I got nothing to say about it, but the Recorder seems to be not doing what,
Because of
and I get accused of not doing my job. That's the first one. The second one is the camera. We're now taking videos with the town's camera. We went to take a video of the planning board, the last planning board. There's no memory card in it. When that camera was purchased, there was 3 memory cards that were purchased with the camera. The empty packages are in the box, but no memory cards. All 3 memory cards are gone. Now, I don't know, Neil, you were taking videos. Do you know where the memory cards are?
No, I do not. There's not an envelope in there, an envelope
Envelope is empty.
empty? Then I don't know. I can't tell you, I don't know.
And the only ones that had access to it, I never touched that camera until the night of the planning board meeting. So obviously, someone took all the memory cards that were there, 3 of them, they're gone. All the ones, the meetings that were videoed from before are gone.
And that's town property.
That's town property, exactly right. I had to go buy a card to put in there. That's all I got to report.
Motion to accept the town clerk's report.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion, add a second.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion on the town clerk's report?
It is, yeah, I have one thing, I mean, it seems though we've had a lot of issues with the recorder and their sister paper. Is there any way we can switch? Or is that something that has to be done at the organizational meeting at the first of the year?
It is done at the organizational meeting, but there is no law that I know of that says that we can't change it.
I know we set our news media for, at the organization meeting, but it seems like there's a lot of issues going on.
Well, we need to have a paper that's the coverage of our town, complete coverage of the town. So it opens us up to use whatever.
Believe it or not, the Leader Herald prints out more of Montgomery County stuff than the recorder
No, I'm just
does.
saying, as long as the coverage is there, we can switch. I believe, according to what I've read, we can switch, which is fine. But we'd have to change the paper of record and stuff.
So, we have some bidding going on with this truck business. Why don't we try one more round where we are? Because we have a system now requesting a receipt of our email. They have to email back. If they don't, we've already told them that, you know, we're not happy at all with their service. If they perform going forward, okay. If they slip up, we'll have the board consider a change.
Fair enough.
I don't like a lot of jumping around, but I also don't like what's going on with the paper. Anybody else have an opinion that's different? Different idea?
Half the time we don't have a reporter here, we don't know when they're coming. I've sent letters or articles in and they don't get in, and I have to wait and wait and wait, and then it seems like within 2 days, a letter or something appears in there, it happened at our meeting or whatever, so it seems like they're being selective, or,
They are being selective, it's always
and
one-sided.
it's always one-sided.
Well, I don't like being accused of not doing something that I know I did, and they write a half-page article about it. I'm very upset.
We have a clerk that's been around a lot of years and does a good job. I don't like to see her upset. If somebody would like to make a motion, or you want to do the change, we'll do the change.
Then I'll make a motion, we change papers tonight.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, is there any discussion?
Yes, I think we have to actually make a resolution. Because we passed it by resolution.
We can do a resolution.
I also think that,
Why would it be a resolution,
Well-
Brad, it's set up at the organizational meeting?
because we said a resolution, so,
What he's saying is, we did a resolution to appoint the paper to begin with. And the law is a motion or a resolution has the same effect. But to be 100% correct and not be questioned about it later, let's do a resolution.
So do we have to have a resolution to
Is that a
remove the one
resolution
page?
number? What's the next resolution number?
There would be resolution.
But what I'm saying is, do we need a resolution to remove the one paper and another
42.
resolution to add a new paper?
I told him it.
Or
No,
can we
it
make
could
it
be
all
a
one
resolution to
The
dissolve.
word
them.
change works okay,
Okay,
right?
fair enough.
Okay, so we had a motion.
Resolution number
You want
42.
to change that to a resolution?
I want to support a resolution to change our notification,
Our legal?
legal notification paper.
I believe it's called the paper of record.
Either way, I'm sure it's clear.
Bill,
Okay, do we have a second for the
I'll second it.
resolution?
Oh, I'll second.
Betty did.
Betty, second. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried.
What did you vote?
Abstain.
Bill, does that include Courier Standard and the Recorder?
The Courier Standard was never appointed as the
Okay,
official paper.
all right.
So we don't need to change that. Okay. Now, under the planning board also at this time, I'd like to present a letter of resignation from Debbie Logan. It's in your meeting packet.
No, I don't think it is.
Oh, no? Did I put it in there? Well, my mistake.
I didn't see it when I put them together.
Okay, just so that I'm sure that we have it, we can put that off till next month. Yep, we put it off till next month, okay? Okay, Board of Ethics.
Nothing new to report this month. I'm still waiting to hear back from the BCI on the case I turned over to them, and I don't have word yet, so I am hoping by next month to have a report out on that.
Okay. Motion to accept the Board of Ethics report.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Supervisor's budget report. You have the figures every month. I see that you get the figures. We're supposed to do that. As you can see, the budget is performing well. We discussed equipment with Artie, and of course, that's the one major item that will impact the budget between now and December. The rest of it is pretty low. I'm not looking for any big changes or tax increases. We're in wonderful shape. What we do equipment-wise should not impact our taxes. As I told you before, when we set that budget up, I try to include normal operating expenses plus an allowance for the larger equipment, 50,000 and over. And we put 300,000 in that line. And with the two items that are on the table now, we should come out pretty close to that. And if we don't, if we have an emergency or equipment that needs replacing that we haven't planned on, we have surplus. Going forward, I wanted to put the budget so that the money coming in equals the money going out without extra items impacting the taxes. And if our estimate for our major piece of equipment is somewhere in the ballpark, taxes should stabilize. We should be in good shape. Okay.
Mr. Supervisor, I got a question on that. Could we have, for next month's meeting, could we have the dates and maturities of the investments and where they are? And
Sure can.
when they're going out?
Yeah.
And how much we have total? Okay,
You bet.
thanks.
That's not a problem. In fact, I almost brought it tonight. A lot of that stuff is maturing and the interest is being posted, so it'll start showing up on your monthly report also. Okay, any other questions on the supervisor's report?